All right, so I just wanted to get on here and talk about what I've been already thinking in my head as I'm sweeping the floor. And what it is that I started thinking about like the situation that I was in when I was living in my this apartment and all the shit that I went through. It is just I for the most part I went from being chased into a situation where I didn't really feel all that comfortable and all that safe for that matter, and then I had to then go to that, and then when things changed over, I then had to go back to where I was living again and take care of that. But then there were people living there, and it was just a mess. And I don't want to get into details because I want to get personal, but there's just things that I went through in my life that is just one after the other. And then the pattern that I've noticed in my life has always been whenever I go through something, the side was always taken that didn't benefit me. So it was always like, I've noticed it in school, and it happened with my parents. More so, I mean, I was really primarily raised really by my mom. My father was always there, yes, but there was more of a social connection and more of a bond with my mom than it was my dad. My dad was there, and he did serve as the provider of the family, whatever. But that's not what this is about. What I'm talking about is that I had to then sort of see the pattern of like whenever, like in school, I would get bullied, taunted. There would be things that would happen, and instead of understanding my side of the story, it was always like, "Oh, well, you're the reason. You're the problem. You're the reason why this is happening." And it's almost like going back to like that victim blaming, which is kind of crazy. And in no way am I trying to like be on like that Me Too movement stuff, because that Me Too movement was just stupid. It was just honestly, it was more just I don't know what that was, but it's just, going through all my life having to do with like that, like never understanding my point of the story, never trying to hear me out, always like kind of like saying, well, I'm the reason why things happened or whatever. And it didn't happen all the time, but it just seemed like whenever I went through stuff, no one understood my side of the story. The biggest thing that happened recently in my life and why I'm talking about this is because I feel like this, and I always have like this imposter syndrome where I feel guilty of having things like if I get anything, if I win something, if I get a promotion or I get a place or anything that has happened good in my life, I always felt this sort of guilt for it. And I feel goes back into, like I said, growing up, having always being blamed for anything really. And it's just, and then I am a middle child, and a lot of people say that happens a lot with middle children, like they go through that, and it's just like, but that doesn't make it right. And I'm not sure if that's exactly what it was that happened there, but it doesn't make it right. I'm not placing blame either. Like I'm not like blaming anybody for what happened. I think that what happened and it just happened that way. You know what I mean? Like I'm just seeing it for what it is, and I'm recognizing the pattern and trying to get to the point where I understand myself to fix myself. Because to feel guilty over winnings is not good. It's not healthy, and it makes you feel like I'll never achieve anything at this point because I don't allow myself to achieve anything at this point because I feel undeserving of anything. So it's like I'm getting tired of that, and I'm kind of getting to where I don't want to play into that anymore. I don't want it anymore. I'm done with that. I'm shedding those layers. I'm breaking out of that. I don't want any more of this like feeling where I don't deserve something, or I feel guilty for getting something, or whenever any kind of a story goes down, it's somehow my fault. Like somehow it's my fault. Most recent, I had roommates that I had to live with who I didn't really know all that well. I grew up in this one place, for a long time I was living in this one place, and then one of my siblings passed away, and then I had to go and take over the place because otherwise these two individuals will be homeless. And not only that, but I wanted to come back because it was for the better part of my life where I grew up. So I wanted to come back. However, when I come back, I now have to deal with these two roommates who were not my friend. They were my sibling's friend. It was not my friends. So I have these two people who are essentially strangers in my world that I have to kind of like learn to live with, who were sort of dominating the living situation. And I was just like, okay, like I and then here we go. I can understand, they were here before me, and I just came out of nowhere, even though this is where like I said, many of my years here, childhood here, everything here. So I had to come back and sort of give them the air of like ownership to a place that's not in reality even theirs. Okay, because this is the thing, like the fact of the matter is that my sibling passed away. That was my sibling. That was someone of my blood. That was it hurt. And then I had to come back, and I was gracious enough to be like, and I even felt bad because I felt like a part of me almost felt like they were a part of him. When he passed away, it felt like I should have them around because he might want that, or it just felt like he was still around, just having them around. But then it became toxic. Like they would do things that I wasn't agreeing with. Like there was very unsanitary conditions that were happening. I don't want to get into detail because I don't want to get anybody embarrassed, or I'm not here. This is not what this video is about. But there were some things that were very, very disgusting, and I had to work through that. Then on top of that, they were not completely my sibling's friend. There was just one of them who was my sibling's friend, and then the other one happened to be a lover who moved in. This lover was a little more not so respectful of me as the original friend was. So you can see where that dichotomy is going. Then there was this like lack of understanding. There was just kind of like this weird thing going on. At one point I had an American flag hung up on in my bedroom for 4th of July season. Every season, if anyone ever knows me, I've always been very like, because I look forward to like seasons and holidays for relief, some sort of kind of like just like how people watch sports and they watch the Super Bowl and all these things kind of make you feel like you're going to lead up to something, to give you some kind of goal, to something to look forward to. And I would decorate, and I've always been that way. In my jobs, anyone who has worked with me would tell you I always decorated for seasons, whether it was St. Patrick's, whether it was Easter, whether it was New Year's. I always wanted to decorate and make the place festive. And it was just a part of me. And then I just felt like, yeah, why not? I want to get the American flag and put it up in my room. And this is the time where Trump was at Butler, PA, and there was this whole situation going down. This friend of my brother's comes home. I'm sitting in my desk in my room, and then he sees the flag and he gets triggered. This is the same exact day where that whole situation in Butler, PA happened with Trump. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look it up. And so there was like a lot of police presence in front of my building for some reason. I don't know why that was, but there was a lot of police presence. So he comes home and he's like, whoa, there's a lot of police outside. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy, right? Wow. And then he goes, and I'm like, we both said, wow, crazy about what happened with Trump and everything. But he was like more along the line of happy about it. And then he went and he put his middle finger up to my flag. And I was like, what the hell? And then it's just things like that just were weird to me, because it made me feel like, okay, is this you when you hear about politics in the news and you hear about radicalization, you hear it on so many levels. And so I didn't know if was he radical? I don't know. So I'm already feeling unsafe, right? I'm already feeling like weird about things. I'm just minding my business. I heard about what happened. I didn't like what happened because I wouldn't want that to happen to any city president, because that's not good. That means that our nation is under a vulnerability, and I don't want that. So no matter who it was, I wouldn't want that. So yes, I wouldn't have want that for this current administration. So yeah, even if I don't like the guy, even if I really dislike the person, I wouldn't want that to happen to our nation. Why would I want that to happen? It's almost like encouraging this like a downfall or something, or some kind of takeover. But that's not even the point of the story. The point of the story, that because I feel like I have to explain myself. Why do I feel that way? Because I told this to somebody and my relatives, and they attacked me for it. They got mad at me for getting upset about it. Now, I didn't get mad at the guy, but they got mad at me. They viscerally got mad at me because I was upset about what he did. He goes into my room. He greets me after being out hanging outside. He puts the middle finger up at the flag hanging in my room, and then like laughs, and then he's just like, and I'm like, okay, and I don't know, I'm still nice though, like I'm still nice to him, and I'm keeping it civil, and I'm still like understanding that this guy is gay, and I could see why he feels that way. I can see, and all of that. Here we go, right? That's what they claim to say, middle child syndrome, where you have to be like the peacemaker and always trying to understand all sides. But anyone else would have been really pissed off. I told the story to other people, and they were like, nah, that's not cool. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just disrespectful. Like, why would you do that? You know, that's like me going into his room and seeing something hanging up in his wall and putting my middle finger up at it and then walking away. Mind you, this being the American flag. So, because you're not happy with the current sitting president, you felt it's okay to go in my room and put your middle finger up and curse an object that I have in my room. Do you understand where where I get off? Like, so that was one of the many things that I've noticed that were really annoying me and really getting to me. There were many other things that were like really strange, like the ownership and the like this weird, like, I own this place and you don't, you're just renting a room from me when the paperwork is under my name. I'm doing them a favor, and I was even actually planning on handing over the place to them because it, you know, to as a respect to my sibling who passed away. And so all of this goes down, and I'm just like, you know what? Thank God I didn't do that paperwork and I didn't hand it over to them, because that would have been something, I would have been screwed because the way that they were acting. And then when I bring all this up to other people in my family, people who I thought I could trust and I could look and say, you know, not side with me, but at least hear me out and talk with me, not at me. It didn't happen that way. It immediately went to like, I'm taking their side. I'm not taking your side. I'm not hearing you out. It's what they only hear. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I got a video. Even with the video that because I had a surveillance video in my room set up. And I'm only going over this because this is the only recent time I've gone through something like this. So I put the video in my room and I decided to leave, right? And I stayed at a friend's house so that I can clear my mind. The guy walks into my room 3 different occasions, goes in my room, looks around my stuff, and I don't know what he's looking for exactly, but he did it 3 times. The 3rd time, he actually looks at the camera, waves at it, and points at it. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, why is this happening? Why? Just why? And this is a guy I have no relation to whatsoever. He's just a lover of my brother's friend. Why is he doing this? It's not even my brother's friend. It's some random dude who he let in. And so I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. I just can't believe this is happening. I told them to leave. I said, listen, you guys have to go right away. I don't want you there. And I knew that they had places to go. I know that because they have family and all of that. I was like, you guys have to go. You guys have to go. I unfortunately do not have the luxury of having all these friends and family in my life as they do, as they claim to have. There's two of them, two men, grown men. I'm pretty sure. And I was like, guys, I'm sorry, but you have to go. I didn't even tell them about the video. I don't even know if they're aware of it to this day, but there's video footage. I shared it with my cousins. I shared it with, and they were shocked. They was disappointed. They said they were disappointed. They couldn't believe. They said that wasn't right. How could they go through your stuff? They just barge in and they just, why would they do that? And so even with that, someone very close to me could not understand that they were in the wrong and I was right. And thank God for that footage, because if I didn't have that footage, let me tell you right now, no one would understand what I was going through. They probably wouldn't even be talking to me to this day over someone who wasn't even related to them, over someone who wasn't even related to them. Okay? Me, their flesh, their blood, who was like telling them I felt uncomfortable. There's some weird shade going on. It's like they're acting like they own the place, and it's like this weird thing happening. They're snickering. There's all this weird stuff going on. This unsanitary conditions, and then there was other things involving my like pets. That I was just like, this is just not working out. If I did not have that video footage, that concrete proof to show what was going on when I wasn't home, I don't even know if I would have had any kind of anything resemblance to anyone in my family. And it just seems like no one, and it's like when you come from a place like that, I'm just getting tired of feeling like I don't deserve. I'm getting tired of feeling like I don't deserve anything in life. Like I don't deserve anything. And for a while I have been my own enemy, and I still feel like I'm not in the clear. I still feel like I drop into that mindset sometimes where I feel I don't deserve things in my life. And I don't believe that that is the truth. I believe the truth is I do deserve a lot in my life. It's just like anyone else would deserve anything. And I'm not asking for a lot. When I speak up for myself, I feel guilty. When I ask for things, I feel guilty. When people hold the door for me, I feel like, oh my God, thank you so much. And I feel guilty. Why? Why? Where is that coming from? Where? I'm starting to feel like, it is just nature versus nurture. I don't think I was born this way. I think I was nurtured. This is a nurtured thing. And I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not placing blame, because I do know there are circumstances, there are situations, there are others who are going through their own thing, okay? And inadvertently things happen. It's like sometimes I might not be aware of my actions are causing issues to someone else around me, and I won't even understand it or be aware of it. And that's how usually these things happen. It's just a lack of awareness, and you just don't know. So I'm not aware of placing blame, but at the same time, I'm also realizing that I have a problem here and it needs to be fixed. It needs to be addressed as like my train of thought, the way I think, the way that I feel nothing is deserving. Like I don't deserve anything in life. And I'm just tired of it. I really am. I'm tired of it. Like I'm sitting in my room, for instance, minding my business, got the flag up on my wall. By the way, there's like fireworks going off in the background. It's 4th of July season. To have somebody come in my room and then point their middle finger, I'm like, did I do something for you to feel that comfortable to do that to me? You see what I'm saying? Like, would he have done that to anyone else? Maybe, but at the same time, don't do that shit to me, bro. Like, I don't know. It just feels like I'm not letting people, like, I'm tired of letting people step on me. I'm tired of people pushing me over. I'm tired of it. I'm just so tired of it. I'm not going to let it happen anymore. I'm just not going to let it happen. I'm not going to feel guilty anymore. This situation I never asked for. I didn't even ask for this shit. I didn't ask for nothing None of this shit. None of this shit. For real. None of it. It just seems like a shitty circumstance that went from another shitty circumstance to another shitty circumstance, and I'm getting ping ponged around, and then I ended up in this situation. I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not taking the heat. I'm not taking the load. I'm not taking the blame. I'm not taking on the burden. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not. Period. 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 I'm just not gonna do it anymore. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm not gonna feel guilty anymore. If somebody has a problem, that take it upon yourself. They just do you. Don't like. You have a problem with me. That's your problem, not mine. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just so tired of it. I'm trying to keep my voice down. It's just, I get so excited because I just do not like that. I don't like when people think that they can take advantage of me, and I feel like people can sense it because I've noticed, like with doctors, with nurses, with people that I just casually bump in. Like I've noticed, like there's this vibe I give off that they can tell that I'm very forgiving and I'm very like lenient and I'm very like, docile, and I won't really, but they don't know there is another part of me that I will roar, I will bite. And it's just, I don't know. I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to give off. I don't want to exude that energy anymore. I want what's mine. I want my piece of the pie. I want my seat at the table. I want my time. And I'm done. And I just feel like I just wanted to say that. I just feel like I wanted to clear that because I feel like I'm not the only one that has gone through this. And I'm not talking about delusional people out there walking around with this false sense of grandeur, and they expect everything to happen for them. This is not what this video about. This video is about just everything I said. I encapsulated is going through life with these experiences that you can actually account. How many times I've gotten bullied in school and somehow I got the blame for it, or I was late and I got the blame for it. This or that, got the blame for it, blame for it, blame for it. Everything was my fault. No one could hear me out or see what I was going through. It was always my fault, my fault. I mean, I don't know. I am so tired. I am so very tired. I didn't even go into my childhood situation because I don't want to, but I'll touch on it lightly. If you made it this far in the video, then you're going to hear this. I had to be what exactly the middle child does. Literally. I had to keep the peace. I had to form jokes in very uncomfortable situations in the household. Growing up as a child, there was a lot of tension, a lot of yelling, a lot of arguments, a lot of disagreements. And I had to walk around on eggshells, pins. Like I just had to really mind, like it wasn't, everything was a thought process where most average, like on a, or normal, close or quote unquote normal life would be for a child to grow up and it was just carefree and whatever. They wake up and it's just whatever and whatever. I didn't have that. I would wake up exhausted from the day before, knowing that I was tired and all I wanted to do was sleep because I was so exhausted because of all of that. Do you know what it's like being a child? Having to live through a day where you don't know if there's going to be this hypertension and yelling and like screaming and hostility and, you know, just to be on a safe side of words, spanking and all this. And you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know how to process that as a kid. And you have to sort of just work through it. a lot of it was verbal. A lot of it was most of the time verbal. And it was just a hostile situation. And it went from that to a pleasant situation. And then it's like, okay, we're doing pleasant stuff now. But then all of a sudden, boom, right back into like yelling. And I know that there are situations where people don't, like I said before, the awareness probably wasn't there. There's mood swings and God knows what. But it just, as a kid, having to go through that, it's not easy, man. It's like you don't sleep well. I had eye bags at the age of 10, 11. And that's not a good sign. When you see a kid walking around with eye bags at like 7 to 11 of age, you know there's something going on, man. There's something going on in a household that's not normal. And I had to go through that. So it's like this flight or fight, this constant like, whoa, is today gonna be a good day, or is today gonna have to be a day where, and then that, and then I had to get into my whole comedy bit where I have to make myself a clown and lessen myself to make myself look clowny just to try to get a laugh or try to ease things up or whatever. And I trained myself to be not take myself serious. And that's part of the problem I'm having now in life, where I can't see myself serious anymore because I was always in that state. People are so quick to judge and they don't even know what's going on in a person's life. And even when you try to explain to them, which happened recently, by the way, to another loved one of mine, which seems to be the trend in my family. I don't know what that's about. Maybe they have their own trauma they're dealing with as well. I open up and then it's just like they just discount it. They're like, whatever, anyway. Like I was saying, I'm like, bro, I'm like opening up. And whatever. It's just, for the most part, I'm at that point right now. This video doesn't have any real purpose other than just me coming on here and sort of venting and telling you what's going on. And I sort of want this to be a declaration, but I know that it's not going to be just an easy, I'm making a video and I'm going to declare my independence from all this bullshit and I'm going to be okay after this. No, I'm not, because that's delusional. I'm not going to do that. I have tried that before and it failed. This is going to be something that's going to be a lifelong journey for me to even try to shed some of those layers. Like I said before, it's going to take a while for me to get through that. And yeah, so that's what's going on with me. And just wanted to say that here. I don't know where I'm going to put this video. Probably mostly going to put it on my reaction channel because it just seems more appropriate because it is a reaction. So, I do have other channels, but I feel like this is more fitting to put it on a reaction channel because it's reacting to reactions pretty much at this point. Like it is what it is. Like it's what I went through. And I don't know, guys. So I just put this out here and we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to keep it up. It's very personal. I didn't give too much information away. And I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one going through this. I know that this is not just like me going through this. I know I'm not the only one. I know there's other people that have gone through this. I know there's other people going through it. I know this. I just know. I'm not silly. I know. This is something that is very common. So, but it is affecting me. And I needed to talk about that. I just needed to say that. And I feel like if I do it through this, it's like a form of therapy for me. It helps. It's like journaling. I do journal, but it doesn't seem to help that much. It does help though. It does help to journal. But I feel like if I do this and I put it on a public platform, it's more of an, I don't know why I wanted to say decree. It's more of like a declaration to say I need to really start working on self I deserve more for myself. I deserve better for myself. And I don't like to be the victim. And I never wanted to be a victim. And I don't like the whole victim mentality. I hate that. I know victim mentality gets people in the door and gets them what they want. I know that happens a lot nowadays, but I don't like that. I don't like this whole victimization. I don't like being the victim. I think if anything, being a victim is embarrassing to me. And that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be looked at as a victim. It's just not what I want to do. So, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm a victim because that's not what I want. Even if it is true, it may or not be true. I don't want to be looked as a victim. I don't like it. I don't like feeling like a victim. Anyway, I'll leave this here and I'll see you in the next one.